I barely read all these comics today.
Exactly.
I'll be honest, I read half of them.
Yeah. I read all of them today. Yeah.
No, I read half of them total.
Oh,
I
right.
did not finish this run.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well,
Perfect.
that's a great start to the April 2022 Comic Cast.
I agree.
We're all in the same place again, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Definitely.
in the same place. I'm touching
Yeah.
all
high
around.
Five, Ben.
Touching.
High five, Ben.
Fuck,
Look,
I'm so bad
there you
at
go.
this.
There we go. Look at that.
Listen
Look
to
at
that
high
sound.
five. Oh, don't do that sound too much. Don't do that sound. Ben doesn't know what that sound is. He'll find out when he edits this.
No,
Yeah.
don't know what that sound is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But you are in the same room.
we are in the same room, so I did hear the sound.
Absolutely are.
Yeah.
You did hear that sound.
Yeah, reunited once more for another Comic Cast. This Comic Cast, our 15th or 16th, depending on who you are and
That's
what
right.
you know.
Yeah.
Um,
What reality
you
you're
know, you
from.
know.
Yeah.
What reality you're from? Perhaps what? Multiverse?
Ooh. Dare you say.
Dare I
Ooh,
say?
madness.
Yeah,
Dare you
because
say
at this
madness.
point in time, we are...
Doctor Strange. Got them all in there.
Yeah, we are very close to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It is...
8 days, time of the recording.
I said 8 weeks. It's 8 days.
Not 8 weeks.
Look, in the state of the movie business, it might be.
It
in
could
8
be,
weeks,
It'll get delayed.
we'll hopefully be seeing Thor. Probably.
Mm.
But for
8
now...
weeks, you said?
Yeah, it's in July.
That's so soon.
Yeah.
Yep, it's very soon.
Jeez.
But yeah, Doctor Strange is imminent, and naturally, as we do, we like to tie in what we're reading into what we're watching or about to watch. And this month, even, wow, I'm really on fire so far tonight.
Nailing it. man.
This
Nailing
month,
it.
we are reading Doctor Strange from 1974.
Not our reading.
Well, it's like the idea of a monthly podcast.
I ruined that one. That's on
Don't
me.
hurt
That's on
Ben.
me. It's on
Ben
me.
nailed that
It's
one.
on me. It's on
I
me.
got that one
Go
right.
on.
Although
take
technically
it.
I didn't, because it's not actually from 1974, because we're reading the end of the run, which is from
Yeah.
1987
Yeah.
and 1986. This is a long run. It's like a 13 year run. So we picked issues 75 to 81, which are collected into a nice little trade paperback called Don't Pay the Ferryman.
Don't do it.
And do it.
And just off the top, I'm going to be honest. I picked this because I went to the wonderful website CBR, which you go to for all kinds of great information on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And I found the article, Doctor Strange, the best comics to read before Multiverse of Madness. And I thought, there's nothing that can go wrong here. And so I had a bit of a scroll down, and I was like, Shumagora saga, that seems interesting. And I saw Don't Pay the Ferryman, and they talked about, oh wow, yeah, Shumagorath is in this, and I was like, yeah, sick. We're gonna do this one. That's perfect tie into the Multiverse of Madness.
Couldn't get a better comic series.
I didn't really notice the end bit of the paragraph that said that bit of the story is actually in the next little anthology that follows on after this. So
Good.
we've ended
Amazing.
up reading just a fun little comic series.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually really tie into Multiverse of Madness at all.
The one bit that's like, I wonder if it will, is he has a little blue swatch on the back of his cape. So I wonder if his cape will get damaged in the movie.
True.
There's a bit on there that looks like it's covering a cut.
True.
So maybe he has to actually fix it.
True. But yeah, it's tangentially related. The character of Doctor Strange is involved,
He is.
as
And there's
well
some
as
madness.
other Marvel characters, and there's some madness. So really, I think we nailed it. What I'm coming around to say here is we did a good job. I did a good job picking in particular, doing my research, as usual.
Thank you, Ben.
Well done, Ben.
And I will say, if you wanted me to pick something else, like all of these other websites, you should have put out your articles earlier, because I just had a look tonight for more of these articles, curious like what people are recommending. They've all put them in like the past 2 weeks. You can't read all those comics in 2 weeks. CBR had it up well in advance, so we were prepared. Maybe not prepared for the right things, but we were prepared.
Yeah.
I barely read all these comics today.
Exactly.
I'll be honest, I read half of them.
Yeah. I read all of them today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I read half of them total.
Oh,
I
right.
did not finish this run.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I read the first 3. I had an 8-hour drive yesterday where I could do nothing.
Mhm.
I
And you
didn't
still
finish that. I still
only
didn't.
half?
Yeah.
Impressive.
That's all right.
Impressive.
Also kind of on me. But also in my old age, I feel I've been getting sicker in the back of a car while trying to do things.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I did my best.
Yeah.
And then I fell asleep.
I mean, frankly, none of us completed this story because this story gets left on a cliffhanger.
It's true.
And I'll repeat it at the end. But if you want to continue reading what happened in this story, you can go to Strange Tales Volume 2, which is very hard to find, which is even better. I had a look on Marvel Unlimited. There is one issue of it, and it's like the 4th issue. So it's maybe not even relevant. I don't know where the story ends, where Shumagorath is involved. Apparently it happens there.
Oh. Yeah, right. That makes sense why it's not on there, because Marvel don't actually own Shumagorath.
That's true. That's true.
That's why it's so
maybe we never would have found anything to do with Shumagorath.
No,
maybe we couldn't have helped this at all. There you go.
I think this is a good place to end it. Until the next time.
Yeah.
I've been Ben. That's Will and Josh. We're done.
But there's also been another Josh, and he's said a lot, so we should probably.
Yeah, Joshy, our wonderful viewer, our wonderful giver of many pieces of lore, has given us lots and lots of little comic curiosities, perhaps, to feast on for this series of comics. Has an extensive knowledge of Doctor Strange, and it's done a lot of research for us. Yep. And I thought it's probably fitting, maybe just for this episode, maybe for future episodes, depending on how much context we get in future. We decided to rename it to a little segment called Joshy's Context Corner.
Hey.
Yeah, that's yep.
So that's all we can say of the Incredibles theme.
Yeah, it's both the Incredibles theme and part of the McDonald's theme. It's just the first few notes.
Can you give it to him again? Go on. There we go.
Wonderful. But yeah, he's given us some context on a couple of the writers, as well as a bunch of other lore based around Doctor Strange, a bit of history of the earlier Doctor Strange comics, and other little bits and pieces that you'll see popping up throughout this comic cast. So yeah, it's kind of meshing with comic curiosities and all that stuff that we normally do. But to start off, the writer for these issues, well, again, it's kind of a bit messy because the first issue is written by someone named Roger Stern. And then the rest of them are written by Peter B. Gillis. This is the last of 33 issues that Roger Stern wrote, and it's very clear that we come in right at the end of a run. But Joshy has a bunch of background basically on Stern here. He says he's known at Marvel for his runs on the Spider-Man and Avengers books, co-created the Hobgoblin and Monica Rambeau, which is very impressive. And wrote the initial West Coast Avengers miniseries, the first ever Avengers spin-off from the main book. He's also renowned for disagreements with editorial mandates as a writer after having done editing work himself in the late 70s and early 80s. He departed from the Amazing Spider-Man book in 1984 over an editorial dispute, and in 1988 he was fired from the Avengers book and Marvel entirely.
Wow.
Being partially blackballed after a disagreement with editor Mark Grunwald, who wanted Stern to re-add Captain America to the Avengers lineup and make Rogers team leader again, replacing the then current team leader Captain Marvel, Monica, specifically by making Monica look incompetent as team leader to make Captain America seem like a better option. Wow. Marvel, how can you do it? It's Captain Marvel.
Can I just quickly ask, what is blackballed? Is that like blacklisted?
I guess
like it's not allowed to be part of that series anymore or something?
True. I just read it as blue-balled, but I don't really know what black-balled is.
I wonder if it's to do, and I don't know this, I wonder if it's to do with the pen, and so he's not allowed to write again, the black ball being the ball point of a pen.
Interesting.
So it's like, you can be involved with Marvel and this line, but you'll never write for this now.
Right.
You're blackballed. You're blackballed.
Interesting.
Maybe.
Blackball pointed, even.
Yeah.
Had to shorten that one down a bit, hence how we got to blackballed. But Stern wrote a letter to Grunwald telling him it would be hard to write without appearing sexist or worse, prompting Grunwald to fire him. I think that's a fair response to that. And I think not the firing, Stern's response. But yeah, that's very... Oh.
It means to reject typically by a secret ballot, which is weird, because that feels like that would have been pretty open.
There you go.
I disagree. I think it's to do with black inked pens.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
We nailed it. Like, we've nailed this whole podcast.
So I'm being you've been, let's leave. Continue.
It's a good bit. Let's do it like 4 more times in the next hour or so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Apparently, Stern got one call from Marvel soon after by Jim Salicrop, great name by the way, editor of the Spider books, offering him work. But in 1987, Spider-Man had married Mary Jane, a decision Stern considered a mistake for both characters, so opted not to return. Stern would later work on the occasional Spidey issue, mostly after the events of One More Day dissolved the marriage he objected to.
There you go.
Wow, that's so funny.
Yeah.
It's funny because they're currently not together, and Mary Jane has kids to someone else.
Yeah.
Is the current run. So there you go.
And
Doesn't stick.
after his firing from Marvel, Stern would work for DC for over a decade, including 11 different Superman titles, and was one of 3 writers across all 3 arcs of Death of Superman. So he's got quite the resume here. Created some very iconic characters. Created the West Coast Avengers.
Yeah.
Obviously hated Mary Jane and Spider-Man being together, which honestly I don't disagree with that much. They kind of suck sometimes.
Yeah.
And yeah, Death of Superman's pretty big deal. So
I was literally looking at my Death of Spider-Man run because I've got the three arcs of it. So like Friday.
Superman, you were so close.
What did I say?
Spider-Man. You were looking at the
he
worst
died.
part.
He died too.
Yeah.
My sister sent me a picture of a signed issue of issue 700 of Spider-Man tonight, signed by Stan Lee, which I also have, but she's out at a restaurant. It's on display at the restaurant, so it's all whatever. Anyway, I was looking at the graphic novels that I have collected issues of that on like Friday, like 4-5 days ago. I was like, should read the rest of that. I read the first one. It's good. It's good.
it's good. There you go.
Should read it in a car.
That's all I got for that.
Yeah.
I should read it in a car.
I mean, we've got Josh has given us a lot for someone who wrote one issue of what we've read today, or maybe yesterday, or maybe 3 weeks ago. But yeah, he did write 32 issues before this issue of this Doctor Strange volume. So if
we only read one.
We only read one, but if you like the style of that one, go back and read a few beforehand. Meanwhile, the writer of the rest of the stuff we read, Peter B. Gillis, wrote Doctor Strange Volume 2, 1986 to 87, number 76 to 81. Lots of numbers going on there. That's what we just read. After an 8-issue stint on Eternals Volume 2, and more notably, The Defenders, relabeled New Defenders. He did about, quick maths, 22 issues of that, comprising a lineup created after all original members, including Strange, with the exception of Valkyrie, who had departed. Valkyrie was joined by 3 mutants, Beast, Iceman, and Angel, Gargoyle, Moondragon, and possibly the first ever gender-fluid superhero, Cloud, a space nebula in human form. A character groundbreaking by today's standards, let alone the 1980s, for casually allowing the character to transition between she-he genders and pronouns in scenes, and for having a complicated, nuanced romantic relationship with fellow team member Moondragon. So there you go.
Interesting. That's cool.
It's such an on the nose version of what that could be. Like calling your character Cloud is so like we acknowledge that this is very forward and amazing, but also that feels a little bit derogatory at the same time.
Yeah, totally. I will say Moondragon, character I hope we get very very soon in
absolutely
in MCU stuff, because I love that character a lot. But you know, Peter B. Gillis, not as extensive a resume as Roger Stern, but clearly still some important stuff in there. So
for sure.
Thank you, Joshy, for those little bits.
Joshy,
thanks for your bits.
And then he said he didn't have a lot of facts for the artists or the colorists, but I'm going to shout them out anyway. But if Joshy couldn't find them, they're probably not out there. So the artist for the first issue was Mark Badger. And then for the rest of the issues, it was a combination of Chris Warner and Randy Emberlin. And the colorist for all of them was Bob Sharon, or Sharon. We've yet to work out exactly how to pronounce it. But he's making a return from Moon Knight. I don't know if he just colored all the 1980s Marvel books. He was just viciously coloring in for the entirety of the 80s. But he did quite coincidentally.
I love that image.
Just viciously.
the fabric Castell or whatever the fuck red back and just smashing through stuff.
That's what I was doing for majority of the 90s.
Yeah, all right.
Viciously
arting the Moon Knight books.
Yes,
holy shit.
Viciously.
Wow.
Viciously.
God.
Yeah.
Famously, Moon Knight, the one character that's full of color. Viciously drawing that white.
That's it. Gotta do it.
But, you know, what a coincidence that the two comics we've done over the past 2 months, colored by the same person, Like 7 years apart. I thought that was pretty cool.
There you go.
How wild. Good on Sharon.
Yeah. And then Joshy has given us some more little bits of context, some curiosities. I'm going to get Josh to read these, not Joshy. Okay. Josh Lawrence.
Right. Use your best Joshy voice.
No. Visually, the renowned era of Doctor Strange comics' most illustrious high points preceding this run include Strange Tales 1976 issue 158, 67, that's what I said.
Yeah.
It's alright, I get it. It's a lot of numbers.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Where a panel illustrated by Marie Severin was blatantly reproduced, flagrantly.
Why, Joshy? You need to write all these words.
Disregarding copyright on Pink Floyd's second album cover, 1976's A Slaughter Full of Secrets. Did I say 76? I was looking at that.
I know.
I nailed that year this time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You didn't.
Crushed it. I did not.
That was amazing.
Wonderful. Yeah.
So, what's he saying here? That this. Which one's the panel?
So
okay,
the panel is at the bottom, or wherever I put it on the screen for everyone else.
Yeah.
And up the top here is the two album covers.
Yeah, totally.
Which it is just the same thing, like very literally.
Yeah,
I see the second one. Oh, it's been like juxtaposed over it.
You can see it more.
Yeah. I see.
Put it over the top. But it's just an entire panel basically removed from a Pink Floyd album cover. Nuts.
That's very funny.
Very crazy.
It's almost like that Fortnite loading thing that looked like it was stolen from Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
But somehow it wasn't.
Yeah. Looked like Jack Kirby 100%.
Speaking of psychedelic art.
Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, keep going. All
right. Steve Ditko. Love Ditko. Spider-Man man himself. Steve Ditko's era of psychedelic designs that developed a niche cult following among hippie culture for its trippy effects and served as inspiration. Just losing this. For one of 1965's.
Nice.
Thank you. First psychedelic rock concerts titled "Tribute to Doctor Strange," headlined by Jefferson Airplane.
Oh, cool!
Trapped in iron and gloves. Never mind. That was from a song.
I definitely know all those things. We got a couple more images here. Very nice. Very, very psychedelic.
Very psychedelic.
Wild. It's very like anything that's like Marvel's classic space is just very like Jack Kirby-esque, even though this is Ditko. But
it's weird that it's not the Ditko dots. Like it's right there. It's the double D, but they gave it to Kirby.
Yeah.
I've always found that weird.
Dots, love it.
It should be the Ditko dots. You're so right.
Yeah, absolutely. Should I keep going?
Yeah, just do these last little bits.
All right. Steve Englehart's era with art by Frank Bulla, and Gene Callan. Do that one. With stories testing the comic medium's boundaries, helping inform the experimental natures of comic stalwarts. Is that how you say it? Stalwarts? Yeah. Like Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman, and Grant Morrison.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, awesome.
Very, very cool.
So those are the three different eras of little Doctor Strange comics that kind of came before this. So there was the plagiarism era, there was the Ditko era, and then there was the I'm just gonna say Englehart era. But I like so it's kind of fell off a bit after the plagiarism era in terms of interesting stuff.
As we all do.
Yeah. But yeah, Josh, you just mentioned the Pink Floyd and other music trivia stuff is there because it's culturally important, but mainly for Sheep. Sheep 91, as Josh is called in the Discord.
Of course.
Yeah. Josh knows music. It's great.
Josh does love music.
Very, very cool.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Josh's context corner for now. It will make a return very soon because there's context for each of these issues. But we're going to jump into those issues, starting with issue number 75, which is very much an odd one out in all of these. I didn't even ask this before we started recording, but do we have a plot?
No, not particularly.
Okay.
I'd say the overarching thing is that Doctor Strange is a bit sad, and he doesn't know why he's sad.
Yeah.
And by the end of this, we know why he's sad.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
You don't know.
I don't know why he's sad. I'm just aware that he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we are truly aware why he's sad by the end.
No.
It's left pretty ambiguous.
it says the end at the end of all of this, and I'm like, is it?
Yeah.
Because there's a big set piece that happens, and he's just on the floor crying, and I'm like, but you're still in the play. You haven't left.
From what I read, the run was very like spontaneously cancelled, and then they just like finished it off in the Strange Tales ones, which are also split into 2 separate stories. There's like a Cloak and Dagger story, and it's Doctor Strange story in each of them.
Right.
So really, they was setting something up, and then they just were like, yeah, all right, whatever, it's fine.
Good.
Yeah.
So good.
What I will say about this, like, as a whole, is this feels like what I wish the Disney Plus shows were, which was, like, individual stories that... I mean, that's what a TV show is. I'm explaining a TV show. It's just the Disney Plus shows are not a TV show.
Yeah.
They're a movie, like, pulled at the seams to fit into... But if they follow a structure like this, where it's like, really, there is very little connective tissue between all these issues, but there's an emotional core that goes through it, which is Strange... trying to work out why there's something wrong in his life. And so, like, as much as it's a weird run, and I don't think it fulfills, it's what I hope the Disney Plus shows become eventually. Like, I want them to lean heavier into being episodic and less like a film. The main thing.
These feel like almost like sitcoms where you can just jump in and watch an episode.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. You don't need all that much context. There's probably stuff for the people that have watched everything before it.
Yep. That's
some
this episode.
Storyline. Yeah. But just
I feel like it's like
Mm.
this is like pretty reminiscent and founded in what comics originally were, which was a lot of just random monthly stories with underarching stories that would come through and kind of like slowly get seeded over time, and then get like blown out in a big event, almost
when
like
they realize they're about to be cancelled.
Almost like the MCU. It's almost like they did it right there, but they're definitely struggling to hit that kind of vibe with the TV shows. They almost need to do like smaller mini MCUs within the bigger MCU.
Yeah.
I feel like that was also the strength of WandaVision. Is that it kind of had that feeling of a weird weekly story.
It's definitely the only one that's been episodic.
Yeah.
Everything else is just a one story thing.
Yeah.
With these comics,
this one is about Mephisto. He's there. So is Reed Richards and Sue Richards and Franklin Richards, who is just OP as usual, blowing everything up. Always seems to pop in and just do a bit too much. And then no one really like acknowledge how just stupidly powerful he is.
The what was it? The Year of Marvel or whatever. There was like 5 issues. Oh, the History of Marvel. The whole point of that was Franklin Richards at the end of time talking to, I think, Galactus and being like, so I mean, I'm the only human being left alive, or the only being left alive. So yeah, he's a little OP.
Yeah, just a little. And I do enjoy it. Kind of like goes across these following issues, but I enjoy just from the start how much of Doctor Strange's inner monologue we get. I also love his weird one-liners. We get the Great Winds of Watum makes its first appearance here, but there's so many other ones, and all his incantations and spells rhyme, and I'm just like, Benedict Cumberbatch is great, but man, if only we got this campy, wonderful...
I'm like, one of the strangers in this movie is going to be this, right?
Surely,
one of them is going to talk like this.
Yeah, that'd be so good. Because you've been reading like Death of Doctor Strange, where the like 60s, 70s Doctor Strange comes back. Is this also how?
This is exactly. It's like he enters with a line, and everyone's like, "Why is he talking like that?"
Sick. Yeah.
So like,
I think rhymes. And stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sick.
So that's why when I read it like that and seeing the contrast, it feels like something the MCU is going to lift pretty soon, which would be cool.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I love the 80s for these reasons, not for other reasons, but for these reasons.
Yeah.
I love just super quick. There was one onomatopoeia word in there, and it was rumb.
Wait,
it was RUMMBB.
Rumb.
Yeah, like rubbing.
Rumb.
Okay,
rumb.
good.
So try and find that.
I'll track that one down.
Insert it here.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
It's great. I wrote that down specifically.
Rumb.
And only one other thing. I had a question.
Yes.
There's a context box, and it says like C. ROM issue 65.
Yeah, I couldn't work out what that was.
I could not think of what ROM was.
No, I just read it as ROM, and I was like, is that some hero I don't know about called ROM?
Yeah.
or a game that came out.
CD-ROM.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't think of one. I couldn't think of one that works.
We get just like blasted with context boxes over these first few issues.
Nuts.
There is so many little context things being like, go read this, go read that. And there's one, I can't remember, I think Dolphin Pants posted a picture of it. That was just like, if you haven't been reading this, you're a fool.
yeah.
Insane.
And I was
there was one as well that was it like a context box for the same issue from something from the Moon Knight run that we read?
Well, yeah,
or something. It was like, it was a reference back to...
Yeah, she talks about like Dracula and stuff like that, which is all from Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
So link back to Moon Knight again.
And they mentioned Jack Russell, the Werewolf by Night.
Russell.
Yeah. All around there.
He's going to be in She-Hulk.
Very cool.
And his own thing?
Yeah, and Werewolf
thing,
by
right?
Night.
Yeah. Very cool. But yeah, it's just Mephisto's there. Oh, and the lady shows up. I can't even remember her name. That's how how much goes on in these comics. Topaz, that's right.
Topaz because it's the character from Ragnarok. It's Grandmaster's right-hand lady, Topaz.
Is it that? Oh. Is it literally that character?
It is literally, because I remember an interview with Taika saying he just wanted a funny name and found that there is a character called Topaz in Marvel and went, yeah, sure. And because she's an empath, he purposely made her have no emotion. That's as an inverse of what the character actually is.
That's great.
He's such a cheeky
funny.
But yeah, Topaz shows up at the end of this, and not actually Topaz, like a weird, frail, old lady rock version of Topaz.
Crawling out of Hell's anus.
Crawls out of the depths of Hades. Because this entire issue also takes place in the depth of Hades, because why not?
Of course.
Yeah. And just kind of comes out, starts chilling, heads right on into issue 76, which is what the Stanley presents, what song the sirens sing. The siren being Topaz.
Topaz.
The siren's not Topaz.
No,
or maybe
it's like...
No, but maybe it is supposed to be Topaz, because it's sirens. That's maybe supposed to be
multiple.
Topaz, and I can't even remember that name. That was...
it's freaking Medusa. She had snake hair. Don't make up a new character.
There's a Medusa in this, but instead of the tentacles having snakes for heads, they have little mouths, little mouthies.
Nice arms.
Yeah. Little mouthies on her end of her hair tentacles, but also her hands. Just little hand mouths. And basically decides to pick on a little guy named Daryl Berenson. Seems like a very boring guy. Turns out he used to work with Doctor Strange when Doctor Strange was just a wee doctor.
He looked after men's penises.
He was a wee doctor. Uriel, I think.
Oh, good.
That's how I'm saying that I will say it.
Okay.
Uriel.
There you go. I just said shout out to the tentacles with mouths.
Nice. Good shout out.
But there is... This is just a whirlwind of an issue. A lot happens. Daryl picks up this book he gets possessed and then goes to a library to pick up this book and pays like $300 for it. And they're like, no one's ever been able to read it. So then he takes it and goes to his home. We learn that he has a bad relationship with his mum. His mum? No.
His wife.
His wife, definitely not his mum.
It's a weird relationship if it's his mum.
But it's still a weird relationship nonetheless. And then he starts going off in his underwear and reading incantations, which according to Joshi, an excerpt from the 7th Book of Moses by Johann Scheibel, published in Stuttgart, Germany, 1849. Dismission of... How
American for them to look at German and go, no one's been able to translate it.
Okay.
Not German, but Hebrew, actually.
Oh.
It's from the dismission of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, a high priest in the Hebrew Bible. The inscription reads,
nice. Go for it.
Le Elizierite Zelahabe et Negarami Zien Latebim, which apparently is a misspelling. Dharma Mecca Rameti Azira, which translate to, through this dismission, all things dissolve into nothing. Which Joshi says is an interesting inclusion of Hebrewism, given Doctor Strange's quasi-Buddhist leanings.
That's a good point.
I just want to know how the hell you found this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he know this?
Did you know this already?
Yeah.
Joshy, you're a wild man.
Did you do the research just for this comic cast? Because if so, that's incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
You're great.
But yeah.
But also, did you just retain this knowledge at some point in your
Or did you read the 7th book of Mosby?
I hope he did. He's like, I recognize this.
I remember when I read this in junior school.
Yeah.
In 1849.
Yeah.
No, it's 1794.
Sorry, my apologies. I got all of those numbers mixed up.
Yeah. And then as we get the Yolith, I think that I'm just gonna go with Yolith. As she's sucking off Daryl,
amazing.
And Doctor Strange is being held together by some snakes. Then he kind of blows them all up and blows her back to wherever the hell she came from. And then little trigger warning for suicide here, because the end of this issue gets really dark all of a sudden. In what honestly the rest of the issue is very like. The final panel, we see the wife and another character whose name I've also forgotten, but who is Doctor Strange's assistant. It's got Sarah again.
Sarah.
There's lots of really fancy names, and there's lots of really basic names, and it's hard to remember any of them. Being kind of comforting the wife as we find out that Daryl, on his way to the hospital, committed suicide, which is very rough. And as I said, in what is an issue that, as I've just recounted, is full of so many different things, is kind of interesting how they ground it back down to earth. And that kind of goes into the rest of these issues, which are very introspective and quite dark. What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, it's great. It's totally a flip. And I think it works in the context of the comics, because it really does feel like, of this era of comics, it feels like it's over. And then it's literally just one extra page of like Strange going, "Oh shit, actually, I'm wrong." And it's like it's as Ryan Johnson would say, it really diverts, or whatever he usually says.
Subverts expectations.
It subverts expectations. It's very good, and I think it really it continues through the rest of the comics. Like this, the first one isn't really. I mean, it's important for the kind of Topaz thing. But it's like this feels like the start of an arc, which is really cool.
Yeah, issue 75 made it in because of that, because we need to know who the character of Topaz is. But totally, this is definitely where the arc starts. Is this the same issue in which all the stuff with Topaz happens, or does that happen later? I can't remember.
I think they've already kicked that off. They've already been. Maybe it's the next issue that she gets
removed from her form. I think it does happen in this issue as well, which means this one's just action packed.
Big one. Like she comes through them, she's not a stone lady anymore.
Yeah, she's not a stone lady. She's actually a very beautiful blonde woman.
That happens at the end of the first issue.
Oh, it does. So that she gets all the way out. Yeah, right.
Because that's where it's like, we have to find the other half of your soul, and that's the end of the
That's right.
And then we just do nothing.
But then in this issue, she does spontaneously kiss Doctor Strange.
It does, because she's like, I have zero emotion.
Which also
I feel nothing for anyone. So I can't even feel this, and then he kisses her.
Yeah.
She kisses him. So.
Which is also what leads to Doctor Strange kind of being like, I've lost touch with love. I push everyone away.
Yeah.
And
it's a good build.
It's a good build. And then it's into issue 77, which is about a cat.
A literal cat.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
I read like the Stanley Presents Cat thing, and I was like, interesting. It looked like some like possibly Egyptian god or something. No, it's just a big black
furry
cat.
Man.
We got a cat got your tongue joke.
Good bit.
Which I'm glad we got. There's a little bit about Arnie Green. I don't know much about Arnie Green.
No,
but he's some white guy who's taken over the Camotage monks. So
that was weird.
That was very weird, very confusing.
Seemed very irrelevant to the rest of the comic.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was only because he did the curse. It was like he made the curse of the man with the metal in his mouth, which Cat did. He shouted, "Curse that man," which made Cat put metal into that guy's mouth.
Right.
And that's kind of how that was the trickle on. And at the end, he's like, "I'm so sorry, Strange. I didn't know that my actions would have consequences."
I read this over 2 days.
Yeah.
So I totally.
I mean, it's fucking weird.
It is.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Because like, where does that mean that like now that the curse had been said, did that allow Cat to do the curse and now was just wild and free throughout Earth?
Yeah, well, I think he gets rid of him at the end of this. Like he does. Yeah.
But it's like, is that
he could have been? It let him through.
Is that the only reason why he was in Earth? Because he did it, and then he's like, I'm gonna have some fun in the rest of this joint.
Yeah. But it's the dark dimension in Doctor Strange comics. It's something leaks, and then there's always like a simple thing that lets them through, and then Strange has to deal with it. It's like, you know how in the Spider-Man comics, someone who's senile and old decides that they want to have power in their old age, and Spider-Man says, "Fuck the old." That's the loop all the time, of the fuck the old. That's the loop of the Spider-Man comics. The loop of this is oopsies, I let something out. Oh, back in the jar. That's the loop of the Doctor Strange comics.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But other than Arnie Green, which was very confusing, I think the cat is a surprisingly effective villain.
Yeah.
I think this is possibly my favorite issue out of all the ones we read. Because it's basically a lot of it is spent inside. I think the cat takes him to like some other dimension or something. I can't remember the exact name they give it. But the cat is just basically taunting Doctor Strange and telling him how out of touch he is and how much he is like just lost his ability to do everything. I think this is where he gets his cape torn by the cat.
Yep.
And basically towards the end of the issue, just full on shrivels up within himself and starts like crying and being like, I'm not good enough. Then lets out like one final burst of spectacular magic. But it's kind of it's this interesting thing of he was clearly like leading the cat along, but also some of it rang true in the end of what he was saying.
Still questioning himself.
It's I don't want to always link it back to like it's very Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Like it feels like how the villains are always talking to the Doctor about being, oh, you're the oncoming storm and all that shit. It's like there's this hive mind of all the villains in Doctor Who that they understand the Doctor's psyche, and so whatever journey he's on in that series, they're the vessel. There's always a point where a villain says something that sends him on that spiral, and it's totally this. Also, Cat is the name of a character from Red Dwarf, and so and the character Cat in Red Dwarf talks in like a jive jazz, just like. Well, I'm talking about this. So every line of this I read like that, and if you read it like that, it is fucking phenomenal. It like lifts that character to another level.
I was saying, is it spelled
visually? It kind of looks like the Cheshire Cat.
Yeah, totally. Is it spelled with
like an evil
K-H
version, much more
in that in Red Dwarf as well? Is it spelled K-H-A-T?
I'll have a look. You might be right.
Apparently, according to Joshy, another bit of Joshy's context corner. Was that what I called it? Was it Joshy's Context Corner? Yeah. I've already forgotten that. Yeah, it is. Yeah, nice. Apparently, Cat is also, the name also is a mild amphetamine-like psychostimulant drug derived from the Catha edulis plant. Can be known to cause manic behavior with grandiose delusions in some cases. Has cultural significance in parts of Africa and the Arabian Peninsula. Cool. So there you go. Cool. Also shares its name with a cat.
That's true.
Yeah.
I wonder if
bit of a double meaning.
I wonder if Joshy knew about this because he's like an environmental scientist person,
or maybe he does drugs,
or maybe he does drugs.
Yeah,
but like being an environmental person, you probably know about plants, so that could potentially just be one that
it actually was off the dome.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that read Hebrew books.
That's
the environmental
department. Yeah, absolutely.
It's one of the prime things I like to read.
Yeah, and know about Turkic mythology, because he also gave us a little note about Turkic mythology here, which I'm not sure what it relates to, so I'm not going to read it. But anyway, Joshy, just a font of knowledge. And facts.
A font of knowledge, not a fount, a font.
A font. Font is a word, right? Am I crazy?
Font
of knowledge is definitely a thing.
Isn't it a fount of knowledge? Because it's like a fountain.
Hang on.
But a font is like
a typeface.
Like a typeface for text.
Ben's going to find out.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe you're wrong.
I'd be happy to be wrong.
It's the 1970s of facts.
Fount is the traditional usage for this in a figurative sense, but the only one considered in standard British dictionaries.
Okay, so you're wrong.
The UK
it sounded
version,
like you were proving me wrong here.
But no, there's no but.
The UK version of Oxford Dictionaries Online, for example, considers font a variant when used to mean a source, which is what I was implying.
There you go.
That's pretty good. He got it right. You're both right.
We're both right.
Got that. Well, he's eating pesto.
That's right. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That's
but yeah, so there you go. That's the issue about Cat. My favorite issue of this.
I'm sure all of that will make it.
Yeah, my favorite issue of this 7-issue run. And it's all just
I'm
about
glad that was your
Cat.
favorite because that's where I ended.
Yeah, good.
That's
well,
good.
Now I'm out.
As much as that's the favorite, the next two are quite good.
Yes.
I want to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
I loved the last 2 issues and stuff. I thought a lot of it was super weird and fascinating. And
I think
stuff.
this is.
I will finish it. I haven't enough time.
We'll get into it a little bit later. I think this is actually a fantastic little like. I wouldn't say it's. Yeah, it's kind of like it. You're right, Will. It's kind of like a season of Doctor Who. It's a fantastic little like. 7 to 8 issue run of just like weird little side stories.
It's such a tasting plate of Doctor Strange. It's like here's everything he might do.
Which is why I'm kind of like, as much as I said at the start, wasn't my intended reason for picking this comic, but I'm kind of glad we did, because who knows what of this we'll get in any Doctor Strange content going forward. We might get all of it, we might get none of it. Maybe we'll get the tiny Triceratops multiversal weaver that we get in issue 78.
We might.
Freaking hope so.
This is you said you didn't read this one, Josh?
No,
because this is my favorite character from this entire run.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's basically Peter Dinklage. If Peter Dinklage, not just Peter Dinklage, Peter Dinklage's character in Infinity War. If Peter Dinklage's character in Infinity War made capes.
Yeah.
That's all this little guy does.
Amazing. Yeah. Hell yeah.
So basically, at the end of the last issue, Doctor Strange's magic cloak of levitation gets torn by Cat.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh my goodness, I have to fix this. Tries to fix it himself. Doesn't succeed. Fucks it up. And so he's like, well, I gotta go somewhere else for an expert on cloaks. So
I will say though, him trying to fix it is maybe 75% of this issue.
Yeah.
I was like, he's not going to do it himself, and I'm like, when is he going to do something else?
Yep.
He's just sitting there like trying to fix his cape, and I'm like, this is so much of this issue.
Yeah.
I heard that's so much of
the movie.
Yeah, just an hour of him.
Benedict Cumberbatch with a needle.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Then like Googling how to sew.
Yeah.
After he realized he can't. Although he's a surgeon.
Yeah, he's pretty good at that. I think, and that's one of the things he does bring up, that it's like these hands used to do these things, but he's got the shaking and all that.
Shaky hands.
Yeah, the shaky hands. But yeah, so he basically is like, oh, I'll go to this. I found this random name in a book. I'm gonna go visit this guy. And it comes out of a portal. This quaint little house with a little Triceratops man living in there, and he apparently just weaves magical cloaks. And he looks at Doctor Strange's cloak and he's like, this reminds me of another cloak. Bit more spectacular than this one that I once wove.
Yeah, this one's a bit shit.
Yeah, that's so good. So a bit better than this.
Yeah.
Why add that?
Yeah.
That's great.
And basically, alongside this, we go to Paris and start seeing little bits of the character cloak, of the duo Cloak and Dagger, but without Dagger. So he's very brooding and dark because he's lost his light. Like, literally. Yeah. Literally
Cloak,
lost the light.
Such a bright and happy character, a man that's just a fucking cloak.
Yeah. But anyway, there's some fantastic art when he's introduced. I will say this is probably like the most outstanding visually of all the issues. Although I think across these, after the first issue, which I thought was pretty standard, like 80s comic art fare, I think the rest of these issues are possibly some of my favorite art I've seen in this kind of era of comics. It definitely has more of a style than I feel a lot of other comics of this era does. And from what Joshy has told us, clearly like previous Doctor Strange comics were also doing that, like kind of like pushing the boundaries of what they can do. And I think like in this issue we get images of Cloak in like very atypical panel shapes. They're literally like shapes of his head and cloak and stuff, which I think is very cool.
We'll say as well, in the ones that I read up to this point, the facial expressions in this era of comics are so much better than most of the facial expressions in other comics in this era. Like, usually they were just a face. It was just a face. There was not really any emotion.
Yeah.
But in the first 3 that I read, especially the second 2 that I read, just like... Yeah, you could see like the torment on characters and stuff like that. Like, it was so clear. It was
for me
phenomenally drawn.
For me personally, the I think it comes down to like a lot of the detail in the characters has a lot more clarity than I feel like a lot of comics from this era do.
I was going to say, it's also better written.
Yeah,
like, it's
totally.
nicer to read this time around, especially compared to Midnight. Like I said, it's only the distance of like 5-6 years, but it's very clear. They understand. Apart from one like panel that's at the top, which I don't know what issue this was from. Actually, I think it may be the issue before. It might have been the cat issue, because I can see a torn cloak. The line is, for a moment, as if listening to a distant call, it pauses, but only for a moment. So it starts and ends with for a moment, just in case you think he took longer. It's for a moment,
but only for a moment.
So funny.
It's one of those ones that makes you stop and you go, am I wrong?
Yeah.
Did I read that wrong?
It seems like it's almost like an ATM machine. Automated teller machine.
You can't say that twice.
You didn't need to say that twice.
Yeah.
We got it the first time.
There's also this panel, if you can find it, Ben. But I'll be using it as a reaction gif at some point, which is just the Sanctum, and then just oh fuck, just coming out of the doors of the Sanctum. I'm just like, if the movie's really good next week, I'm just gonna post that panel on Twitter.
Yep, great.
And actually, I think the top of the thing is also a nice context box for it, which is just simply. Weeks later, at the Greenwich Village Sanctum Sanctorum of Doctor Strange. Oh fuck!
Yeah,
hello.
Yeah, love that.
Very good.
But yeah, for Josh, who hasn't read this comic, I'll just describe the rest of the story. Basically,
I thought you just asked me to describe it. Like,
do it. What do you think?
I cannot do that.
Little Triceratops man is like, oh, I'll go fix your cloak. Have a little bit of an explore while I go fix this. And then Doctor Strange goes and has a little look and finds this weird piece of tapestry that's all darkness, and he hears something calling to him from within the darkness. No, he doesn't go, where could I have seen a tapestry like this before? Because I'm sure he knows the character Cloak. But no, he doesn't do that. He just like, I hear something. I'm going to go in here. Give it to me later, Triceratops dude. Yeah. And he heads in there, finds Cloak battling with a character named Ecstasy.
Drugs.
Love it.
She sells drugs to people. So that's her background.
Yeah, that's literally all she is. Her name is Ecstasy. The two arcs that are going on in this, Strange needs to fix his cloak, his cloak, and Cloak is fighting a drug war in like Spain or something. It's like they're the two stories happening at this in this issue.
And I think this is a preview of what you'll get if you read that Strange Tales thing I mentioned, because it's as I said, it's Cloak and Dagger stories and Doctor Strange stories next to each other. Yeah, this is them testing the waters. But the Dolphin Pants made a comment for this issue, which I really liked. He says, I mean, I've never seen a character more ham-fisted into an issue as replacing Doctor Strange's cloak with the literal character of Cloak.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah, amazing.
And apparently he also found out that Ecstasy is a recurring villain of Cloak, stealing his powers again in a future issue and then becoming one with the darkness. Because Josh, what she does, for some reason, for a drug lord character, is that she manages to steal the darkness outside of Cloak, as well as the light that Dagger once held, and fused them together into one great light and darkness being.
And wearing the cloak.
Wearing not really the cloak. It's like a bit of black covering up the bits that need to be covered up.
I've got it now, and it's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And there's a panel where he's just like twisted up, and he's like a big human sausage.
Yeah, in his own cloak. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Cloak is twisted in his cloak.
Yeah.
Because Ecstasy has control over it?
Yeah. She's like stuck in the cloak.
Because normally he sucks people into his darkness and makes them really depressed. But she makes it so he sucks himself into his own darkness.
Right. So what is her power?
She sucks the light, and she also sucks the dark.
Okay.
We know nothing. It's like you keep saying, it's probably in the Strange Tales.
Sure.
Nonetheless, it's a very good issue. I actually really enjoyed it a lot.
It's really good. Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of sucking, a lot of darkness. Really, very good art. Especially when they go into a little darkness realm. It's very nice. And then at the end, at the start of the next issue, issue 79, titled Fata Morgana. Doctor Strange comes back from a plane. He decides to catch a plane back. And
That's what I also love about these comics. It's like there's so much context that you miss. Every issue starts with something you're like, did I skip something? No, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
And there's a nice little thing where Doctor Strange is like, he's like, should I have just portaled back?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, maybe you should have. Maybe if you have access to portals, maybe you should just portal everywhere. Just a thought.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're catching planes at all.
Where's your money?
Did Doctor Strange get his cloak back?
So
we'll find out.
Like, yeah, you got to get to that.
Okay.
We're surprising you now.
So not yet.
No, he's just running around in blue clothes at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You know, he's classic.
I just meant
blue.
at this point. I don't mean like does he get it back ever. I just mean like.
Well, maybe
point,
not.
Did he get it back in the previous issue?
Anyway, I was curious about Fata Morgana, so I looked it up.
Good.
A Fata Morgana. This is according to Wikipedia, by the way.
A Fata Morgana.
A Fata Morgana. The name comes from the Italian translation of Morgan Le Fay, the fairy, shape-shifting half-sister of King Arthur. Is a very complex, superior mirage. It appears with alternations of compressed and stretched areas, erect images, and inverted images. A Fata Morgana is also a fast-changing mirage.
Daryl's all over those erect images.
Yeah. So what that actually means, if you're curious, is basically, you know when you look over the ocean, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but if you look out of the ocean, there's a boat there, but it looks like it's kind of above the horizon, just like floating in midair. That's a Fata Morgana.
Okay.
It's like superimposed further upwards than it actually is.
And inverted images, is that like, you know, you look through like a glass of water and everything looks upside down?
Potentially.
Never mind, everybody. Fine, whatever.
Anyway, if you want to learn more about Fata Morganas, search it up on Google. I'm not telling you. I didn't learn any more than that. No. And then I was also like, then they introduced a character called Morgana, and I was like, I should know something about this character. And so I had a bit of a look up about who this is. Morgana Blessing was an author, friend, and potential love interest of Dr. Stephen Strange. She wrote and published a book about his life during a time when the Doctor was believed dead. Morgana later became lovers with Stephen's vampire brother, Victor, alias Baron Blood, providing him with a regular supply of blood to quench his thirst. That is her entire blurb on the Marvel Wiki.
So odd, because I really thought that she was like, you know how there's like knights and shit in Marvel? I was just like, oh, she's just a reincarnated Morgana.
Yeah.
Like a character that exists in fiction.
Yeah.
Morgan Le Fay literally exists in Marvel lore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what?
It's
why are you not that?
It's so weird.
Yeah.
I also just want to point out I'm still
thinking about your glass.
Kind of. Back on the Fata Morgana like explanations and stuff. What if it's alternations of compressed and stretched areas? Assume of an image, which I guess would be like a fisheye lens.
Yeah.
Possibly.
It's all like once again. But every time. I'm just like I'm trying to figure out kind of are these sorts of things in this issue?
Well, I was about to say, Josh.
Funky images?
So none of that is relevant to what happens in this issue.
Amazing, perfect.
I looked both of these things up at the start of the issue, and I was like, this will be relevant. None of it was.
No. Cool. I'm glad I wasted 5 minutes of this issue trying to explain what some of these could potentially be, but I don't know.
Doctor Strange gets stabbed in the fucking chest and dies.
Does he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
He just dies.
Yeah.
He's done. He's basically he's done for like the rest of the run.
I guess if he gets stabbed, that was probably like an
stretch,
and it probably stretched his skin apart,
and then
by an erect sword,
big old erection,
and inverted his life.
That's a good point.
True.
Nailed it.
Kind of did invert his life because he went out in a little astral form.
And he's in black and white.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did it. You
made it relevant.
Smashed it. Didn't even read the issue. Made it relevant.
Yeah.
Topaz is doing some stuff. Talks to a dude through a mirror. Who sends this He-Man looking guy, as Dolphin Pants pointed out, to stab Doctor Strange in the chest. Stabs Doctor Strange in the chest. Doctor Strange dies. Possesses Morgana, who he's on a date with. After asking for consent,
which is pretty good.
Yeah, which is good. Just kind of takes over her body and is like, "Oh, let's use the Eye of Agamotto." You're not powerful enough. Sad. That's basically the issue.
Yeah.
Like, actually, that's where it stops.
Much. Because does she get stabbed in this one, or is it the next one?
She might get, like, whacked to the ground. And
she gets in trouble.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, no, I've put an innocent person at risk. But honestly, it seems like Morgana knows who he is. So clearly she's aware of what the potential of what could happen.
She also looks fucking sick in the costume.
Yeah.
Like, and she's like holding a sword in a shot. And I'm like,
they change her into the costume as well. She has a sword, which is actually a butter knife converted into a sword. Yeah. Because, what is it? I can't remember. I think, Doctor Strange tries to use magic on the He-Man villain. And is like, I can't do this. I need a physical weapon. So he picks up a butter knife and he's like, I'll use this. And turns it into a cool magical weapon. And then that's the sword that she starts using later. It's very cool.
Is this Morgana?
She gets turned into Strange. But Strange is doing the magic. Yeah. She's not doing any magic.
When is Morgana introduced in this?
In this issue. At the start, they're just on a date.
Okay.
They're just having a fun time. And then Topaz summons a sexy boy who stabs him. And then Strange puts himself inside Morgana, and then she saves the day, but then she gets slapped as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Is Topaz evil or is she possessed?
She's just a bit fucking dumb.
Okay, she's a bit weird.
She's like
actually, she's actually just quite stupid.
Yeah. Like there's an interesting idea there, which you saw in the first 3 issues, and then they just never do anything with that.
Cool.
It's literally that idea of like I'm missing this part of myself until the end. And then at the end, she's still a little bit dumb.
Yeah, it's like I'm missing part of myself. I'm missing like part of my soul. So I'm just going to make incredibly stupid decisions and wonder why you're not helping me when your job is to protect like all of reality.
All of reality, yeah. She's like, can you get back to the quest? And he's like, do you see the shit you're dealing with? Like, you are still a functioning human being. Like, let me do this first, please.
I've got to say, I'm kind of enjoying not knowing this and asking questions.
Oh, wait till the last issue, boy.
Oh, it's going to be a wild one. But to wrap up issue 79, Joshy has one bit of context from the context corner, which is my favorite bit so far. He says, the first examples of the butter knife date from the late 18th century. In the Victorian period, the butter knife was used to serve butter rather than to spread it.
Fucking hell.
Then how was it spread?
With your tongue.
I don't know. Do you like? I assume when he means serve butter, like you literally have a piece of butter and you just like give it to someone on the knife,
and then they have another knife to deal with that. It's just a normal knife.
Yeah,
that's fucking silly.
It's the spreader knife.
That's a Topaz idea.
The Morgana knife. It's stretched.
Yeah.
The butter.
Good.
Erectly.
Yep.
Issue 80.
Don't
Issue
pay
80,
the ferryman.
please.
The name of this whole collection of comics actually only relevant at the end. So following on from the last issue, Doctor Strange is dead. Morgana maybe is too. We don't really go back to her, do we? We just kind of ignore the fact that she's also like fighting for her life.
Rough.
Yeah.
But basically,
this issue is pretty rough.
Doctor Strange possesses Sarah, his helper, and again is like, oh, let's see if you can use the Eye of Agamotto. You can't. Oh, it's a bit sad. So then they go to a hospital in an ambulance, the astral form in Sarah and Doctor Strange's body, and kind of gets wheeled in and stuff. And then he's like,
it's the scene from the first film, basically.
Yeah,
which
basically.
is really cool.
It is that, and it's like basically the entire issue is kind of Doctor Strange having to possess multiple different people to try and fight the whatever. It's like a Valkyrie. I think it's his friend Valkyrie, maybe. I don't really know. I'm not as in tune with the lore of 80s Marvel. But anyway, he's being like kind of his astral self is being pulled into the next life. And so he's trying to fight back against that and like save his body, because his body is both infected with like normal human ailments and magical ailments. Again, like
stabbings.
Yeah, like the first movie. Kind of got to go in and like.
It's really cool, and
it
literally feels like that scene in the film. Like it really is well done.
Very possibly what they pulled it from.
Totally.
But and so he's kind of has to convince the like surgeons that he's like they need to let him help and stuff. And he's working together with them to kind of cure all the stuff. And at the same time, the Sanctum Sanctorum gets abducted. Yeah. And sent to another another plane of existence, from what I can tell. And we meet a guy called Earthona, who has been seen in the mirror by Topaz, and he fancies himself a sorcerer supreme, and basically it's this weird fighty alien universe that kind of I don't know. There's not a lot to it, in my opinion. It's quite boring.
Yeah, I will say the next issue is I'm not going to explain it because I don't think I understood anything.
I don't know if I did either. I'm going to struggle.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Good. So looking forward to it.
Because you know how like there's a simple premise in the first issue, the previous issue where he becomes Morgana and saves the day. But then in this one, there's a simple premise in that he becomes a bunch of surgeons to save his life, and then something happens and like people throughout the hospital start dying, and so he's racing to try to save people and stop people from dying. The next one, he's a horseman, and he goes somewhere. Yeah, he goes inside a horseman and goes to a place, but then it turns out the horseman was actually just the horseman, and so Strange was actually in his own body, and then I think he becomes Topaz at some point to help get her out and to get the thing, and then he just does, and it's all just very vague and exciting to look at, but not possible to understand.
I've been Josh.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know there's not much more to say. Frankly,
really.
Like, Will just described a lot of what happens over these next two issues. It's like the same story. Basically, at the end, we get the shadow of this horse guy. I'm like, who's that? And then at the start of the issue 81, it just feels like we've missed an entire issue's worth of context because they're in
to the point where they do 3 pages of like, here's a different story, and it's like, well, just start with this. What the fuck?
And there's a literal UFO, like they're in a UFO.
Yeah.
Like, you know, your basic image of a UFO, that's what they're in. And Doctor Strange's body is in like a Bacta tank in the middle.
Ball dish, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, I love this.
Yeah.
And it's being flown by this I don't know, he's kind of like a Minotaur dude. His name is Rintra. And he's wearing Doctor Strange's cape and stuff, and we learn in the context at the start of the issue that he was the assistant of Triceratops guy. He's come back with the cloak to help out, but Doctor Strange... Doctor Strange...
Stranger's in the movie. I forgot.
Yeah.
He's in Doctor Strange.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. We did it. It's linked.
It's freaking there.
Yeah. Yes. So this is... I'm pretty sure from what
This is the only reason it was on that list.
From the context Joshy has given me, this is his Rintra's first like full appearance in a Doctor Strange comic, but then he becomes like genuinely like a major Doctor Strange character. Because basically, as Will said, what happens is Doctor Strange possesses this thing's body now, and he's like, oh, this is powerful enough because he can actually use the Eye of Agamotto. None of these fucking human plebs could.
Battery.
And so they fly to the... I thought it was an alternate reality, but apparently it's just a planet they can fly to.
Yeah.
Where Earthona is. And then they do a big fight.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, also, Doctor Strange possesses Rintra's body, so then Rintra's astral form leaves his body to possess Doctor Strange's body. To then... Because
he's also a sorcerer, so he can do what...
To then reunite the soul... the other part of the soul of Topaz, which when he doesn't do anything. She just is the same person.
And so Strange just collapses to the floor and is like, the fuck was the point of everything?
Oh yeah, so they kill Earthona and then he's like, we did it.
But
did we?
Why? Yeah.
Oh, and there's like a line about how like, I think when Earthona dies, he's like, you've unleashed evil upon the world beyond which you will never understand. And then they just end the comic.
It's just over. It's such a strange ending.
It very much reads like the comic literally got cancelled when this was already like being written.
But that was issue 81.
That's the end of the not just the issue 81. It's the end of that run.
That's amazing.
It's the end of an 81 issue run of Doctor Strange ends like that.
Yeah. It was just the vaguest possible thing.
We're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Imagine if they do that in the movie and it just says part 2 next month. We didn't finish.
That'd be
It's
wild.
Like, there's no more MCU.
Yeah.
That's the end. That's the end of the MCU. Is just
Multiverse of Madness. We couldn't work out how to make it work, so we just quit.
We just end it.
Yeah.
That Moon Knight finale you thought you were getting?
Nah.
You weren't.
No, not even that.
Nah. We killed Oscar Isaac.
Yeah. I just realized we are getting the Moon Knight finale like the same day. That's very cool.
Yeah. On the Wednesday, we could see the movie and come back and we can watch the finale.
We could do that. Anyway.
Let's catch up.
Joshy's got some other bits of context. I'm just going to do them real quick because even Joshy is confused, and when Joshy is confused, that's there's problems going on here. He brings up the villain Earthona, and he says the names of Earthona, Rintrah, and Initharamon, which is the Triceratops dude.
Yep.
Appeared in the works of William Blake. Though Blake's relation to those beings is unrevealed, it is unlikely that it was mere coincidence. William Blake was a poet who wrote supposed prophecies or something. I don't know, the more I read about him, the weirder he is. Largely unrecognized during his life, Blake is now considered a seminal figure in the history of poetry and visual art of the Romantic Age. In the mythology of William Blake, Albion is the primeval man whose fall and division results in the four Zoas, Urizen, Tharmas, Luva Orc, and Orthonalos. That's the name. And Zoas are a part of a soul split into parts, apparently. I'm out of my depth of understanding. So, soul got split into parts and got put back together. That's how it's relevant, I guess.
Good.
I don't get how Rintrah and Inithamon are relevant to that, but...
I don't know.
Lots of names, lots of fun times. Thank you, Joshy.
He knows.
Yeah.
Too much.
Knows too much. That's the run.
Yeah.
That's the run.
We did it.
It's the run of comics.
Well, I'm glad we got the well, I didn't read it, but I'm glad we got the Minotaur guy.
Yep.
Yep.
That was the one definite link that we'll get into this film.
I wonder if we know who he's voiced by. I wonder who he's going to be.
Is Ben looking it up? Ben's doing a Goog.
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
Enjoy that.
I like Goog.
Played by Adam Hugill.
Okay. Really?
Wait, what?
Adam Hugill.
Oh, I thought you said Google.
Yeah.
That would have been
Adam
wild.
Hugill has
Played by
been...
the Googs.
What's he done before?
He has been in Pennyworth TV series. Played Jack, a junior detective.
Amazing.
Yeah.
He was in the character. He was the character Vic in the TV series World on Fire.
All right.
In one episode. He was the character Private Atkins in 1917. I haven't watched that movie. He was the character.
I think that's important.
Character Caden in the movie How to Stop a Recurring Dream. He was the character Frank Peerless in The Banishing.
None of this sounds important.
Nope.
In the TV series The Watch, he was Constable Carrot Iron Founderson.
Jesus. Carrot, dude.
Carrot.
Amazing. It's great. I'm glad he made it into.
I'm glad we got there somewhere.
Okay,
I hope he's great. I hope he's amazing.
This TV series looks interesting. Apparently, I'm just looking at the names of the episodes. It's Nowhere in the Multiverse, The Dark in the Dark. And let's read the synopsis of The Watch. A group of misfit cops, rise up from decades of helplessness to save their corrupt city from catastrophe. Apparently, there's a multiverse in there.
All right.
Sounds like a cop drama.
Yeah. Anyway,
the man named Carrot.
He was also in the TV series Sherwood, which is in post production, where he played Scott Rowley. That's Rintrah. So,
that's Rintrah.
Yeah, the Minotaur man. But yeah, there you go. You asked, so I gave you all the information.
Thank you.
You delivered. Thanks for the Goog.
That's all right. I love a little Goog. But yeah, I don't know. Good time. This comics.
Yeah, these were fun.
These were fun. All of them.
Keep killing this podcast.
Every time you talk, no one has anything to say. It's good comics.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Shut up. Get out. You didn't even read it.
You didn't go here.
But yeah, no, as I said, I think we've said it all really. I like how it's just like a nice little, just a little series of Doctor Strange. Doctor Who, classic Monster of the Week style kind of storytelling, I think, which we all like. personal favorite character across all of these, Will?
Personal favorite? Wong and his unborn wife.
Oh, yeah, we didn't even mention that.
That was a thing we didn't talk about. My goodness.
Oh, yeah, Wong.
I wonder if Benedict Wong knows that exists as lore for his character.
I hope so.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Wong was betrothed to the daughter of someone who then hadn't existed and was yet to be born. And that's
yet to be conceived, I think, at that stage.
Yeah, and so was in love with Sarah, Doctor Strange's other friend, but was like, I can't because I'm betrothed to this girl who doesn't exist. Yeah, so
insane.
This babe.
For me, it's a toss up between Kat, and the tentacle lady, because I like that the tentacles have teeth on the end.
Yeah.
Oh, and the tiny Triceratops man.
I was gonna say you had to.
Yeah. I really like the tentacle lady. She was cool. Mm-hmm. She was kind of intense. She seemed like a pretty cool villain. Mm-hmm. Like I would love to see her trying to make her way into the world in other alternate, interesting ways.
Yeah.
Enticing men and just destroying their lives.
And unlike you, Josh, she had a thing for Daryl Braithwaite. So
that's right. Mm. Absolutely. Love Daryl. Horses, baby. Horses.
Shall we read some viewer comments?
Let's do it. Do you want me to take Joshy?
I was going to say, let's do the other ones first, because Joshy's had a lot of a run of it so far. I will... No, you guys read... You guys read the bottom ones. I'll take Joshy's. Joshy's.
One word each.
No. This is from Dolphin Pants. Dolphin Pants says, I'm sure you've answered in the podcast already, but if you haven't, why this collection?
Just to reiterate.
We definitely
have. No, I'm not going to do it all. You know at this point.
Minotaur
Man. Tape, cloak being torn, and that's about it.
Doctor Strange is in it.
Doctor Strange is in it, and he's sad. And I reckon he'll be pretty sad in the new movie. As I said with Moon Knight last month, I'm not the biggest fan of comics written before I was born, but I have recently been reading Strange Academy, very good, and The Death of Doctor Strange, very good, as well as enjoying Strange, very good, in the current run of Defenders, also very good. Yeah. So I'm keen for more Doctor Strange.
You know what? Doctor Strange has had some banger comics recently. Those are 3 very good series. So,
totally. Yeah. I think I've read the first issue of Strange as well, which is where Dingo is now Strange. And it's very good. It's very different. It's a very different take on Strange.
That's good.
It's interesting this time to be reading the end of a run. I like that we started in an action scene. Obviously, as stated in the editor box, it was set up in a Fantastic Four comic, but I really enjoyed when we jumped straight into the action. It's very cool. It makes me want to read that arc, but I think I want to push deeper into this. Yeah. Rather than
if you can find them, honestly, I'm going to try and find them because I do want to know how it ends, and then I'll get them to you guys.
.org, everybody. .org. Wong seriously got an upgrade in the films. Unsure what he was like prior to the release of the first Doctor Strange film, but this manservant monk version is boring. To be honest, he's kind of still that in the comics. He's not the movie Wong in the comics all that much. He's still like sweeping floors and shit.
There was some context I didn't read, but Joshy has elaborated on a bit. Wong has not changed. No, he does have a very, very interesting arc in... I mean, he does definitely become more of Doctor Strange's equal over the course of time, but he still is just like a martial arts guy more than any kind of magic.
Yeah, I was going to say, is he like magical generally?
No, he's just like a really like physically fit person.
I guess he's semi-magical in that like the Iron Fisty Shang-Chi and so, like he's ageless. Like he's kind of like eternal in that way, but not.
But the one thing I will mention is a great arc for the character is Doctor Strange to the Oath, which I think is from like 2006, perhaps. Yeah, okay. It's a great little miniseries, basically, and it's to do with Doctor Strange trying to save Wong, who has terminal cancer.
Wow.
It's actually... I haven't read a lot of Doctor Strange comics, but it's definitely one of the best ones I've read. And that's saying something, because I've read a lot of the recent ones, which are very, very freaking good. So,
I'll say as well, I love that you said that Wong is apparently ageless, and he's waiting for this baby to be...
That's
going to, like, outlive...
That's why it's so bizarre.
In the end so weird.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Because that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, he's already old,
It's already probably hundreds, thousands of years old, maybe. I don't know at this stage. But then
it's still going to wait for
this baby is then going to grow up and then get old and die.
Yeah.
But Wong is ageless, so he will have no choice. And then he can be with Sarah, who is also
who's
probably
dead already. Overall, I enjoyed this more than Moon Knight. Maybe I'm just more of a fan of the mystical and sci-fi. I think I agree. In saying that, I would not recommend somebody read this unless they are already a fan of the Doctor. Interesting. My rating is Age of Wong's Future Wife out of 10.
Nice. I
think anyone could read this. I don't think I quite agree with not already being a fan. I think it's a starter.
I think anyone could read this. I do think a base knowledge of the character of Doctor Strange is required. Otherwise, jump in at like a number 1 or something. Because it does have a bit of assumed knowledge about like his powers and the Eye of Agamotto and stuff. But I guess it's pretty obvious. He just does magic and stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like if you watch the films.
Yeah.
You don't have to have read a comic, but if you've experienced him in movies, you're probably good to go.
Yeah.
And like the fact, him saying you enjoyed this more than Moon Knight comic, maybe you're just more of a fan. This is better written. Until the last issue, apparently. This is just a better written one, better art, like all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not as problematic.
Yeah, and stale.
Yeah.
No, I could definitely see why it was recommended by these internet websites because it's a very good comic. It just maybe wasn't as relevant as I particularly thought. But we got Minotaur Man, so
we did. We got him. Rintra.
Yep. I should start calling him Rintra because I'm sure we're going to see him lots and lots.
We're going to be talking about him unless he dies quickly.
Yeah, that's true. That'd be sad. He's got a very detailed CG model in that film, so I hope he doesn't die quickly.
You got to build a figure in Marvel Legends.
That's true. He did.
Joshy has him on his shelf. Hopefully he doesn't die quickly.
Hopefully. Anyway, Josh, do you want to read Dion's comments?
Can you scroll down a little more?
No.
Thank you. The first issue 75, was a bit rough, but after that, it was pretty good. Agreed. There are some really solid panel layouts and compositions. And my only complaint is that Topaz losing half her soul seemed to only equal her coming onto everyone too strong.
Yeah.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
But apparently feeling nothing about it.
I think that was the most
floating with everyone for no reason.
That was the most out of touch this comic felt. Like the rest of it felt surprisingly ahead of its time in terms of social and political issues, but that was definitely
because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
She says, I have no emotions, I don't feel anything, but then her reason for kissing is that she flips between emotions.
Yeah.
So
makes no sense.
Do you have them or not?
Do up your shirt.
Yeah.
In issue 2 in particular.
Get a shirt.
My goodness. There's one more button would help. All right.
There's a rock lady 5 minutes ago, Joshua. Just let it.
That's true.
Breathe. You imagine how horn that would have been?
What?
How horn?
Okay.
Yeah, being in rock. Being encased in rock.
How horn?
How horn? Well, how warm?
How horn? Dion goes on and says, Joshy mentioned that...
You skipped an important comment.
Did I? All right. Sorry. I love that there is a cat demon named Cut. Cut.
Yeah.
Joshy mentioned the hosts not know what... So I'm going to read it word for word here.
Yeah.
Joshy mentioned the hosts not know what they were in for when they let Doctor Strange take over their body. I don't know what they're talking about. I didn't read this part. But I thought it was very forward of them to have Doctor Strange ask for any form of consent, given this was written in the 80s. It's pretty nice. Yeah. It's pretty good. I would give this 8 out of 10. Cuts do countdown. Very good. Very good. I like that reference because I only really understand it since Christmas.
Yeah.
This last year. Yeah. I didn't really know that show up until then. There you go. Was there a Jade one or is that
No. There's another line. Is that line in there for you?
Is that
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Dion, that was it.
Dion also
that was it. Sorry, one more. I forgot to add that I hope at some point in the MCU we get an editor's box or something see episode number 5 of WandaVision in lieu of exposition. That would be pretty cool.
That's all Josh ever wants.
I'd love to see a bit of that in there.
So cool. I think Joshy in the Discord mentioned that maybe we see it in She-Hulk.
Yeah, totally.
But I am also thinking potentially Miss Marvel because that has the little comic-y style stuff potentially.
Yeah. Stuff like shows that would be that are a little bit like fourth wall breaking.
Yeah.
So those two, maybe a Deadpool, like could have that.
Honestly, just chuck them all over the movies. Just put them there. Yeah. You know when Abomination shows up in Shang-Chi? Just have a little context box.
Yes.
See Incredible Hulk 2008, but also it's kind of not relevant, so maybe don't watch it.
Yeah. No, don't go see that. Just go like enjoy Edward Norton's other work. That's fine. Yeah, just go enjoy that.
Birdman.
Go see Birdman.
Birdman.
Go see Fight Club. Don't think about it.
Speaking of Birdman, I did the Framed the other day. I had never seen Birdman, so I was really struggling. But then the fifth one was literally a picture of Birdman, and I was like, thanks guys, you really helped me out there.
Yeah.
I was like, Michael Keaton. I don't. He's in movies, but then
this is like the third Michael Keaton one since Back Pocket. Since Back Pocket, this is like the third movie that's had a photo of Michael Keaton as the hint, and I'm like, fucking. How do I know?
Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm doing it just out of curiosity because I don't watch a lot of movies, particularly the old movies, which tend to be in these framed things. And two, I remember what random ass frames from movies. Think I remember that? That's Will's stuff. Will remembers that. I just watch. I just sit back, have fun, and go like, yay.
I put my thumb up to the screen, audio listeners.
You did.
Yeah.
Big old thumb.
Anyway, we do have one final viewer comment. Lots of comments from Joshy, which I'm going to attempt to the best of my ability. Why did you give me the finger?
That's just for the video watchers.
Okay. But it felt directed at me because you're on my screen. So, like, I don't know.
Just at you, because you did it at the camera.
Yeah. Anyway.
Rudest behavior.
Anyway, such a rude boy, William. Joshy's not a rude boy, and he says Doctor Strange is associated with show-stopping psychedelic art that influenced 20th century counterculture, was plagiarized for Pink Floyd's second album cover, see an hour and a half ago, and inspired 1965's A Tribute to Doctor Strange concert headlined by Jefferson Airplane, see a little bit less than an hour and a half ago, paling artistically to preceding Ditko and Severin and Englehart runs, even less than an hour and a half ago. With solo Doctor Strange comments, Badger's haphazard penciling in number 75 is sporadically rushed. That's true. I do agree. Between panels with great character detail, the majority feel like glorified half sketches, backgrounds largely ignored, the ink are unhelpful, scathing. Checking out almost entirely with mono and dual-coloured backgrounds in many panels. Warner's work, while not the pinnacle of artwork associated with Doctor Strange, pulls influences from earlier eras, mixing psychedelic wonders with abundant use of shadows and line work to detail panels. Panels with impeccable displays of artistry include Strange's cape clawed to pieces, and when Berenson... I was trying to remember what character that is. It's Daryl. Opens the portal, summoning serpent-haired villain Uriel. These great panels punctuate more... Oh, wow. Great panels punctuate more practical panels.
He's always with that alliteration.
Very good. He's Stan Lee incarnate.
Frequent enough to provide a visual feast aiding the narrative. Story elements flow across issues in Gillis's run. In number 76, Strange misses the obviously suicidal words of a person in the pits of life-ending depression, so Strange grapples with the emotional fallout in number 77. In the same issue, his cloak is reduced to tethered shreds, and on the cover of number 78 is a cute follow-up pun, head of number 81, when Enitharman the Weaver's apprentice, Ringtra, returns the repaired cape.
You could have just fucking said Ringtra, Joshy. You didn't need to put Ben through that.
It's fine. This era preceded stories neatly grouping into mini arcs calibrated for a collected TPB release. So the start and end of this trade are open like a newspaper comic strip serial, dropping us in the deep end to wrap up a Fantastic Four comic, and concluding with a somber, somewhat unsatisfying end. Our heroes having clawed a temporary reprieve while Othono, the villain of 3 issues, teleports away. Did he teleport away? I thought he got obliterated. Maybe he did teleport away.
I don't know. I was very confused.
Yeah. These issues pose many philosophical conversations to be ruminated over. I have to read out your misspellings as well, because you've done so well for the rest of it. Is it appropriate that the writers cavalierly borrow from other cultures detrimentally, like when the purchased spellbook Berenson recites from quotes a Hebrew inscription from a real-world religion as a form of dark magic? See 45 minutes ago? Would you, in Doctor Strange's situation in that final story arc, astrally project into other bodies? into other bodies. When accepting Ringtra, the host can't comprehend the full scope of what they're exposing their bodies to when they give consent. True, but he did ask for consent.
He did ask.
In almost every situation. One time he tries to go into the doctor, and then the doctor goes no, and then he asks, and then he goes.
Yeah.
Female characters are better written than 1980s Moon Knight. Topaz trends closest to the distressed damsel trope, but each female gets moments to shine. While Topaz's arc across the trade serves as umbrella to this set of stories, culminating in a compelling read during Urthona's climactic power play, the most moving story I engaged with was also the most grounded in human emotion. Berenson's suicide and Doctor Strange being plagued with literal demons of self-doubt and guilt felt neither cheap nor flung aside, unlike similar story beats in Batman Ego. True, we've got this nice tie across.
Fuck you, Ego.
Got a nice tie across all our little comic casts so far this year.
Yeah, just run it across. That's a good arc.
Yeah. Though Berenson's only on-panel appearance in Marvel Comics, he impacts Strange offering something for Cat to exploit, allowing a deeper exploration of Strange's character. The universal relatability of Berenson wanting to love and be loved, and Strange's exploration of if only I'd seen the signs or done these actions or been a better version of me after the unthinkable occurs, adds pathos to a book otherwise far-flung in mystical fantasy trappings. It's
Yoshi.
true. I should have just gotten you to summarize that issue. I did a terrible job of summarizing that issue. You know what? I'm just going to cut that and put that when I tried to summarize that issue.
Yeah, good idea.
Can we, in the future, get Joshi to read out his thing and just add the audio clip?
Oh, yeah.
We just listen to it.
Just listen to Josh just talk those words.
We can do that. Yeah. I feel like we're asking him to record most of our podcast.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. For me, the Don't Pay the Ferryman trade was a welcome dip in a relatively untraveled eddy of Marvel's mystical offerings. But I worry for those preferring modern Marvel books. This book is a manifestation of Charon, ferryman of Hades, drowning readers in the river Styx instead of ferrying them safely to the next chapter. A hard read, but overall pleasurable experience. I rate this read 6 of Avenam's 9 circles.
Good. I'm glad you did.
Yeah. I will say, I looked up Avenam's 9 circles. I looked up quite a lot of stuff. I was like, should I find context for this?
Yeah.
There's no context. It's just a spell.
Good.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, thank you, Joshi, for all those words.
And thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dolphin Pants, for... Yep. I chucked a few Dolphin Pants comments in the middle of the podcast as well. Made some astute observations. And I feel a sneeze coming, so I'm just going to try and get everything out before I sneeze.
You can't now. You're stuck. You're stuck with it.
You said the word sneeze.
Thanks, Dion. Because you said I loved that there is a cat demon called Cat. I was just finding other stuff for them to compliment them on.
Yeah. And the 8 out of 10 cats do countdown. Both with K's. That was great.
Yeah.
Good move. Love it.
I actually do like the old. It's just Spider-Man that doesn't. Like the old.
What?
They're not that bad.
What?
Fuck the old.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Okay. Cool. Next month.
I don't know, see half an hour ago, maybe?
Yeah, probably, possibly. I'll add our own little context boxes.
Yeah.
That's what I'll do. Great.
I thought that's what you were doing.
I know, yeah.
That was the bit.
Well, no, it wasn't.
It's in the edit.
Yeah.
So it was what he thought it was
the bit.
The time.
It is currently 1:12 a.m. in the morning, and I did not make the context boxes. So they are not in this edit. I am sorry.
We did it. What's next month, Ben?
Next month.
What are we doing?
We're doing THOR. Thor.
Thor
that cape.
Which Thor run, you might ask? There's a lot of Thor runs.
Ben?
There's a lot of Thor runs. We're doing 2014. Why are we doing that run?
Why are we doing that one, Ben?
There's a peculiar new Thor in that arc, and they're trying to uncover who possibly that new Thor is.
Who is it, Ben?
You won't find out. You'll just read 2 issues.
Read the first one.
I'll be honest. We're reading issues 1 to 4, and you don't find out in those 4 issues either.
Amazing.
But it will tie in some way to Thor: Love and Thunder. I promise you. As even this one did. So that one definitely will. Until next time.
Wait! Before we go.
What do you want to say?
Most of the other guys rated them, but you guys didn't.
Oh,
We
shit.
did.
Oh yeah.
We didn't rate them.
I give it. Yeah.
Nice. Out of? Okay. Ben?
I give it.
I would love if he sneezes right now.
He's still holding it.
No, it's
You
crazy.
can almost see his eyes watering.
They're gonna pop out. They're gonna expand. They're gonna be erect and invert. And
Not gonna lie, it went away for a little bit, and now it's coming back through. I give it one random blonde white man leading camouflage of monks out of 10. No, actually, I liked it more than that. So, like, out of 2 or 3, I guess.
Yeah, good.
It's not a real rating.
It's not at all. I give it 3 out of the 7 issues that I read.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
All right. Till next time.
I've been Will.
I've been Josh.
I was just gonna say until next time. It wasn't the way. It wasn't the end.
Let's
so much more to
read the
say.
script. Goodbye and all that jazz. Hands. Sorry, 2.
Oh no, the sneeze nearly came out. We gotta go.